Hey y'all, the Knuckleheads podcast, Quentin Richardson and Darius podcast on YouTube is excellent. Like, I thoroughly enjoy their interviews with players. I think they have one of the dopest podcasts in the game, especially due to the fact that they're speaking from the perspective of former players. And they have these personal relationship with players, or they identify with them, so they know the questions to ask, and they know the questions that a lot of the fans really want to hear, right? So I was watching several of them, but I just finished watching an interview with Udonis Haslem today. And I love how they ask questions about the players' younger years or their ascension, their road to the NBA. Like, why did you choose this school over that school? Why did you go to this specific high school? What schools were recruiting you? Did you instantly play when you went to college? Was there any type of tension with the coaching staff? Did you get homesick? All these different things. They talk about all those different things to really paint a clear picture of who the person is that they're interviewing and get a clear picture of their career. So I feel like Q and Darius Miles, man, they bounce well off of each other. And like the NBA players are more than comfortable talking to them, where they just open up and express things that Q and Darius didn't even ask. And I think that when you have a podcast like that, where guys are just so comfortable to just start talking and to just naturally be themselves, I feel like you're doing a great job if you got a podcast like that. And Q and D Miles, shout out to Q Rich, man, from Chicago, Illinois, Southside Wild Hunters, to be specific. So shout out to my boy from the crib. D Miles is from East St. Louis. These guys, man, I think their authenticity allows for a brilliant podcast, and I think it allows for like just entertaining content, man. Just the stories that they have. They have intriguing stories, and they get their guests to talk about the stories that they've had and explain funny moments or explain their relationship with certain players or certain coaches or turning points in their season where they have, like, I remember they had, who did they have when they're talking about the championship run? They had Kemba Walker talking about his run from the Big East tournament all the way to the national championship. You had Kyrie Irving talking about his road to the championship. You got I'm trying to think, man, there's so many different ones. There's many different ones that I watched. Not so many because it hasn't been on that long. But they have these players talk about, okay, y'all were down 0-2. How did y'all come out of this hole? Or how did y'all fight back? What was your mindset during this time period? What was your mindset during this game? What was going on? What was said? Those questions, like, I'm a basketball fanatic. Like, basketball is my first love. Like, I fell in love with the game of basketball at a young age. I'm talking about, I was probably like 6 or 7. So when I hear these type of questions, it makes me reminisce on, I was watching these games. Like, I remember vividly watching a lot of these games that they're talking about. So when I'm hearing this stuff, this content that they're talking about, I'm getting chills. I'm like, I remember that. I remember when Q Rich won the 3-point shootout. I remember when Kmart and Jason Kidd and them was going on them runs where they were going to the finals. They didn't win, but they were going to the finals. I remember them time periods where you had who else they had on Udonis Haslem, where UD became a pivotal player for the Heat. And he was hitting them mid-range jumpers from him were crucial. I remember those points. So when Q and them talk about it and bring it out, it's like, man, that is dope. Like, that is really something dope, man. When you got a player, like, I mean, even hearing the host, Q Rich, talk about why he chose DePaul, why he chose to stay home when other players would have left and went to the bigger programs on the bigger stage, even though DePaul was a much more respected program than they are now during Q Rich's time. Yeah, man, I think it's done very well. I think it's something to be said about some guys who can get an NBA player to be comfortable enough to really express their true personalities and not the doctored up image in front of the media. Like, I think all NBA players have this image that they feel like they got to put forth in the media. Not all, but mostly all of them do. They feel like they have to be pristine. They have to be, well, except Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving, some of those guys, but most of them try to be pristine. They try to be real upright. They don't really want to be, well, they don't want too much of their own personalities to really show in these interviews because they don't want to turn people off. They don't want to say the wrong things. And that podcast, man, you got dudes on there that you don't even think cursing. Not saying that cursing is really just like, okay, there's really, but it's really open expression, freedom of expression. You got guys, talking in their regular slang, talking in their regular voice, not the code switching voice. They talking in they pure regular voice, and they really just having fun, laughing. And especially in a time period now where some people feel like today's players aren't happy. You got guys like Kevin Durant on there laughing and just talking and being cool, calm, and collected, just talking about their whole journey. Kyrie Irving, Jason Tatum, talking about their whole journey. That is dope. That is authentic. And I think more guys will come to this podcast. And I think this podcast will only get bigger and bigger. I think it could turn into the Joe Budden podcast of basketball players. I really do. I think it could turn into the Brilliant Idiots podcast of basketball players. The Brilliant Idiots is a podcast with Andrew Schultz and Charlamagne the God. Joe Budden podcast got Joe Budden, Maul, Rory, Parks, all those guys. So I think Q Rich and them they're just that entertaining, man. They just that entertaining. I love hearing NBA stories. I love hearing about the things that they bought when they first got their check. I love hearing about just their whole, how their world changed overnight from being kids to adults. All of that, man. I know I'm rambling, but it's just some really, really dope talk, man. Really, really dope grown man talk. That you can hear a player talking about, man, I seen this guy. His work ethic was crazy. And it inspired me to be just like much more of a gym rat. You hear players talking about them playing with iconic guys and how, that changed the trajectory of their career. Like me playing with this guy, me playing with that guy just made me look at things differently. I picked up things from their game. Like certain people be like, I love this guy growing up. Certain people saying players that they idolized as a kid that you wouldn't even guess. Somebody said Jamal Mashburn. Mash was dope. Monster Mash was dope. But most people wouldn't say Jamal Mashburn. They would say Kobe, LeBron, Shaq, somebody like that, Allen Iverson. So you hear certain guys say names that you forget about. I remember people saying how cold Sharif Abdul-Rahim was. And really, I kind of forgot about it. So, I was a little young, so the Vancouver Grizzlies wasn't really on my radar. I'm looking up Sharif's scoring averages, and I'm like, Sharif was an absolute animal. Sharif was a dog. So I think, man, I just love their podcast, man. I really do, man. If I could get on it just to talk sports, I wish I could. I think they should have Derrick Rose up there next. I think they should have somebody like, I'm trying to think who else they should have up there. You should have a Draymond Green. You should have a Lance Stevenson. You should have, who else? I'm trying to think of some names to throw out there. You should have Kmart come up there. You should have guys that are Jalen Rose. You should have guys, Jalen got his own podcast, but you should have guys that aren't afraid to tell the unfiltered, raw truth. And truth that's really, really, really intriguing. Stuff that we wouldn't know regularly. And I really think that's going to be coming from these episodes of the Knuckleheads podcast. The Knuckleheads podcast. I think it's going to grow and grow and grow. And I think eventually somebody's going to pick it up on TV. I think it's just that good. But I think they're going to have, of course, I don't know. They're going to have to bleep it. They do some cursing on there, though. So I don't know. They're going to have to bleep that out. They're going to have to censor it. But I don't know. I really like where it is now, though. I like it being on YouTube, unfiltered. And I like just the grown man dialogue, the basketball dialogue, and, just talking about the brotherhood. Because the NBA is a fraternity. And you see the brotherhood that these players have with Q Rich and Darius Miles. Some of these guys don't even really know or kick it with them personally. But I feel the brotherly bond between current players and former players when they talk. You like, man, we didn't play together, but I remember Q Rich telling his stories about ABCD count and how he met Udonis Haslam then and how they were going against some of the top guys. Like, this guy was nice. That guy was nice. We in the McDonald's All-American game, and this guy was just, I knew he was coming, and all that type of talk, man, it gets me going, man. It gives me chills, and I'm just excited for future content from D-Miles and Q-Rich. Q-Rich, D-Miles, y'all doing a great job. Keep it up. Hopefully, y'all can get D-Wade on there now that he's retired. Yeah, man, get some more people on there. I really, really see it happening. I think they might even get some NFL players come on there. Or some maybe some Major League Baseball, who knows? But I really think NFL players going to come up there next. Just because they feel the vibe so much, and they're all professional athletes. So professional athletes can understand another professional athlete, even if, it's across different sports. I think they get each other's mindset, and they know the questions to ask to open up the audience to a different perspective of that individual. So I think it's dope, y'all. Keep it up. Y'all who haven't seen the Knuckleheads podcast, check it out ASAP. Peace.